Welcome back, Focus Learners, to another Explainer. Today, we're diving into something that is absolutely going to flip the script on a huge assumption we all have about human aging. You know, if you've ever wondered how to keep your mental edge sharp for your entire life, you are in the exact right place. We're going to look at some incredibly compelling data today that might just completely shatter the narrative you've been taught about your own mind.
Just take a second to let that sink in. Every single day, you are being told a lie. And you know what the wildest, kind of unsettling part of this is? This lie isn't coming from some sketchy corner of the internet. It's not just a rumor. Historically, this lie has come straight from science itself.
Okay, let's dive into this, because the lie basically goes exactly like this. After a certain age, your memory fades. Your thinking just naturally slows down. Your mind becomes this sinking ship, and there is absolutely nothing you can do to stop it. I mean, you've heard it, right? Your parents heard it. Doctors have repeated it, and textbooks have printed it as an undeniable fact for literally decades.
For pretty much the entire 20th century, this concept of neurodegeneration was the ironclad consensus. Scientists totally believed that your brain peaked in your mid-20s, and then you were basically stuck in this slow, inevitable decline. We're talking the gradual death of neurons and the actual shrinking of your gray matter. And honestly, because older folks occasionally forgot things or slowed down, nobody really questioned it. The evidence seemed to be right there in front of us.
But here is the massive, almost embarrassing scientific blind spot of those early researchers. They were only ever measuring the decline. They literally never looked for growth. It's exactly like studying a garden, meticulously counting only the dead and wilting flowers, and then confidently announcing to the world that gardens simply can't bloom. It's crazy.
And that brings us to Section 1, the 2026 Breakthrough Experiment.
So, in June of 2026, a huge, landmark study published in Nature's Scientific Reports took an absolute sledgehammer to everything we thought we knew. And the sheer scale of this experiment, run by the Center for Brain Health at the University of Texas at Dallas, was just staggering. They didn't just study a handful of people. They meticulously tracked exactly 3,966 adults. And we aren't just talking college kids here. These participants range from 19 all the way up to 94 years old.
And get this, they didn't just test them once and say, all right, thanks for coming. No, these nearly 4,000 brains were tracked day in and day out for 3 full years. 3 whole years. This wasn't some quick observational study. This was a massive, sustained investigation into the human mind.
Now, the researchers' mission was simple but incredibly radical. They said, let's not just measure what goes wrong with the brain, let's measure what goes right. To do that, they use this amazing multidimensional tool called the Brain Health Index. It tracks 3 main pillars. First is clarity, so the actual sharpness of your thinking. Second is connectedness, which is your sense of social purpose. And third is emotional balance, measuring your mental resilience when you're under stress.
So you might be wondering, what did these folks actually have to do? You'd probably expect that changing your brain would take hours of grueling cognitive therapy every day. But actually, the daily requirement was just 5 to 15 minutes. Just a tiny handful of minutes dedicated to targeted brain training activities. Then the scientists waited. They measured and they waited some more.
And this brilliantly illustrates the shocking payoff that left the scientific community completely speechless, because the results simply did not fit the textbooks. The markers for brain health didn't drop. They didn't even just level out. They actually went up. Brain health improved across absolutely every single age group, from the 19-year-olds to the middle-aged folks, all the way up to the elderly. And it wasn't just a lucky few. It was nearly everyone.
Which leads us nicely into Section 2, the no-ceiling effect.
Normally, when researchers look at human biology, they expect to hit a ceiling, right? Like a biological limit where things just cannot get any better. But in this experiment, they never found one. This is where it totally defies all societal expectations. Even the participants in their 80s and 90s, a demographic that society had practically written off as cognitively fading, showed measurable, significant gains. Their brains were literally performing better than they had years prior. No way, right?
But arguably the most inspiring finding from all of this data was something researchers called the rebound effect,
Look, over 3 years, life is going to happen. Some of these participants suffered major, painful life crises, job losses, serious illnesses, or even the tragic loss of a loved one. Normally, events like that just crush your mental health. But these participants actually used their daily brain training strategies to cope, and in many documented cases, they bounced back cognitively and emotionally stronger than they were before the crisis even hit. That is real resilience.
All right, moving right along to Section 3, the power of neuroplasticity.
What this study essentially proves is that your brain is not some rusty machine with gears that just inevitably wear out over time. It's actually way more like a muscle. And just like going to the gym, the more you properly challenge and engage it, the stronger it gets. So, by definition, neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to rewire, rebuild, and strengthen its own neural connections throughout life. For decades, scientists mistakenly believed this superpower vanished after childhood, but this explainer and the hard science behind it proves once and for all that adult brains are highly adaptable. We are absolutely capable of continuous growth.
So, how can we actually apply this? What were the specific habits that created these crazy results? Well, the program combined 4 distinct elements. First, strategic thinking exercises to really challenge mental clarity. Second, lifestyle guidance to support overall physical and mental well-being. Third, personalized coaching to target individual blind spots. And finally, daily progress tracking to keep everyone accountable and aware of their wins.
So the crucial point is this. When the researchers really dug into those elements, they realized the most powerful factor wasn't one specific magical brain game. It wasn't about being a genius at puzzles. The secret ingredient was simply consistency. It was literally just the act of showing up every single day for a few minutes at a time to do the work.
And honestly, here is the most empowering part of this entire explainer. You do not have to fly to a lab in Texas to get in on this. That exact same brain health program used in the study, it's now available online and through mobile apps across all 50 US states and in more than 60 countries. So, the most important experiment in the history of brain science is something you can literally join today.
Let's wrap up with Section 4, your brain's true potential.
For so many generations, we've just blindly accepted this really depressing story about getting older. We accepted a story of loss, of inevitable decline, of this slow dimming of the light. But as we've seen today, that narrative was completely flawed from the start. I want you to really absorb this quote from the study's lead researcher, Lori Cook. She states, "Every brain is as unique as a fingerprint and has potential for growth." Think about that. Every single brain, at absolutely every single age. When was the last time somebody told you that your mind still had untapped potential?
The lie we talked about at the beginning, it is entirely dismantled. The evidence is clear, it's structured, and it is scientifically sound. Your brain does not have to decline. The brain can grow. It can grow when you're 30, it can grow when you're 60, and it can absolutely grow when you're 90 years old. You literally have the power to shape the physical structure of your own mind just through your daily habits.
We've seen the data, we've broken down the myth, and we've explored the amazing lifelong power of neuroplasticity. The science has spoken, so the only question left to answer is this: what will you do with yours?